Okay. Oh, oh. Sorry. I just had a giant salad with with steak, not steak, with sausage and chicken. So yeah, it's the first thing I had all day, other than like 5 cups of coffee, which is not good for you, by the way. I used to do that, and it's no bueno. But so this is my last cup of coffee that I'm having today. Mm. Whew. All right. I hope everyone is all right. Um, I am doing pretty okay. Let's get a window up here. I don't know how long today's stream is going to be, because between you, me, and the freaking wallpaper, I am just not pegging on all cylinders like I should be. That's clear. There you go. All right. Oh, 47 notifications. Yeah, I have to hit other people. Here's the thing. Hey, let it be. Good to see you in the chat. Um, so everybody goes to everyone else's streams and has cool conversations. I don't do that. I'm very weird. I'm not so much a loner as I am a monologuist, I guess, right? I can go off on a topic that I know, and I know a few topics. And I can just kind of riff on those. Um and the stuff that I'm not sure about, we'll look up. But what happens of I find on podcasts where there are like 5 people or so is the conversation gets lost. The moderator, everyone moderates differently. Some people are more about the cozy nature of the people talking and they don't really care about the topic. Some people only care about the topic and the conversation will be boring and they will drone on, right? I care about the topic, but I also care about the flow, right? The energy of a good conversation is really fun to me. But if the conversation we're not having is not interesting, I will change it up. We'll talk about something else because this one's lagging. Versus talk about something and then let it get off the rails to be interesting by stuff like I heard that XYZ was going to happen, and then you're down rabbit holes of where'd you hear this and who told you that and da da da. So yeah, um, yeah, shared broadcast can get pretty chaotic. Yeah, so I don't know. And I feel bad because I like to talk to people. I love to be a guest, especially on Ted's podcast. I love to be a guest. But normally Ted does it tightly. I'm normally one of a uh uh 2 or 3 guests. Um and usually, I mean, the time just flies by. Uh so he puts us together like really well. I I I don't cross contaminate, right? Rather he doesn't cross contaminate. So I mean we go back. We've known each other since boyhood. He's got a whole group of dudes that he can talk all sorts of stuff with because he knows a lot of people, and that's the way it should be. Versus always talking to the same group of people about everything. And if you're going to do that, uh, even what I said earlier will come into play, right? You don't want the conversation to lag. So if you have the same guys talking about everything, when something does begin to lag, someone has to moderate it. And if everyone's on a shared broadcast, who's the moderator, right? Um, because if you're the moderator, even though you're still broadcasting on your own stream, if you said, so let's not get a strike on YouTube. If you said the moon was made of green cheese, um, you're still on your podcast, right? But if we're doing a group podcast and I say, I don't think that's true, right? You will feel challenged because you're talking to your audience and someone just told you in front of your audience on your a podcast on your page or outlet. Hello, Takara. Good to see you in the chat. Uh, Someone just told you on your page or your not out whatever they call these pages, right? Um, that you were wrong. And then people won't go because I'm a weirdo. I'll go, really? I tell this to my nephew all the time whenever we argue. I go, you can look shit up on your phone too, right? So we go back and forth, and now like he's always like, "Let me look this up," and we're always looking stuff up because there's, like I said, man, in the new era of information, there's no reason to be stupid, and I run across stupid people all the time. They just don't care. Um, and I happen to think that they do care. They're just not inspired to do anything. And that's sort of on them, but it's also sort of on the people in their sphere, and it's definitely on the nation and their countrymen, right? If you're making loose Americans, you will eventually hit a banner crop of loose Americans, and it'll be a shit show. And every shit show, they have some that were they were all right shit shows. I could have stayed home and caught that on cable, but some shit shows you are center stage at, and they're big, ginormous spectacles and you will be like, "Oh my god, how did I even get involved in such a shit show?" Right? And every 100 years, every 1,000 years, one of those shit shows is world ending. Right? And those are shit shows are always man made versus these like just kind of like being in the wrong place at the wrong time with disasters. I was watching this thing about the I want to say Mount St. Helens thing. This couple went backpacking, and it was a guy and his girlfriend, and they had taken time off from undergrad, overgraduates, above graduates, or of above graduates. Really, I'm a little more intelligent than that. They weren't undergrads; they were postgrads. Thank you, above grads. Okay, they were outer graduates, so they were they were post grads, like they were just on a camping trip. This guy, his lady, she was also a post grad, so I guess it could have been this lady and her guy, right? And then Mount St. Helen goes off, and they're like, "What the freaking hooey?" And they're up in the middle of nowhere, and then this wave comes through with all these trees, and he says, "We got swamped, we got swept under," and because the trees begin to do this because they're round, right? And before you know it, the trees will crush your head. You're underwater now. You're in a river. They're also sitting midway because they're a tree, and now you can't get oxygen because there are giant trees. And he said the whole river was like that. He said he managed to get a breath and was looking for, couldn't find her, was tumbled in and managed to come up again, get a breath. Saw her like across the way in this torrent, went again, somehow managed to like direct himself to the bank, like where they were just sort of like jarred up, like you know how straight shit it never lays straight unless you laid straight. And that's why, but a lot of people think what happened was she likely drowned because, like, again, she couldn't, and he was just lucky. Um, so yeah, I don't even know how we got off on that story. Uh, Monologuist, right? So it is what it is. And also I have interesting opinions on a lot of things. Like in the olden days, I miss my women friends, right? They're all married now and they all moved away. Uh, and it's indelicate to ask them some questions, okay? Because you could be like, "Can I ask you a question about everything?" Right? And if she's your tight girlfriend, she could ask you and she won't laugh in your face and go, "That's ridiculous," right? And vice versa. I've had a lot of my lady friends ask me questions about their boyfriends. uh, I had a friend who was who thought her boyfriend might be gay, and she snooped around on his computer. This was like 20 years ago. Snooped around on his computer and found gay porn. And I was like, okay, three things. One, don't go stupid in people's lives. Shame on you. You're gonna find something you don't want, and then bam, right? Or you know, he'll find out that you did it and nothing that you thought was real, and now he can't trust you anymore. Don't snoop, right? Having said that, your haunches were up already. You were like, "Yeah, I think my boyfriend's gay." Something gave you those vibes, right? Um, yes. I mean, now you talking to me is just to reinforce what you already know. And this is where strength comes in. Sometimes strength is, "Oh, okay, I'm looking at all these things before me. I don't want to believe it, but this is what it is. Now here's where the strength comes in. I have to now do the strong thing by me. Excuse me, do the strong thing and take the right action, right? Versus no, maybe it's not that. Maybe he will leave his wife or she will leave her husband or whatever the freaking stupid this shit is. Once you go, I think he's married. I think she's married. That's when you go, man, I really liked her. Done with it, right? That's strength, right? So if she's sitting here going, and I'm assuming at this point, you don't know my friend, but I'm assuming at this point she'd been dating for at least 5 years, right? We were in our good lord. I don't want to say we were in our late 20s, early 30s. So I'm saying she had been dating for at least 2 years, right? She wasn't a rookie at this. How old are you when you start dating? I'm not even talking about sex. I'm just talking about dating, right? Going to the movies, soda pop kind of shit, like 12 and 13. I'm not even talking about sex. So how old are you when you start having sex? I think the average is 15, 16, right? Might be 16, 17, depending. But still, so I mean, she had a couple of boyfriends long enough. I mean, to once your haunches go up like that, why wouldn't you listen to that? So yeah, listen to your inner voice. Mm, 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 mm. Ugh, what a day. Quick, I always tell you guys about my day. Quick story to my day. So I got up today at around, I want to say 5:30. I was just kind of like, oh, had like 3 cups of coffee by like 7. Caught like I always catch the first hours of news to see what the lies are. Then I just kind of go, and mostly the news isn't the news. It's usually telling you what movie star is selling you something and what singer is selling you an album. Or they have the nerve to show up and not sell you either one. They're just famous and on TV at 7 in the morning. You're like, hey, like they had Drew Barrymore on a couple of days ago. And Hollywood loves Drew Barrymore because that woman is she's talentless and she's not witty, clever, or funny. She reminds me of the girl that everybody likes who eats paste, right? And now she's 30 and she's always eating paste, but she grew up in a small town and everybody goes, "We like Drew. She's adorable. She's a you know what I mean?" Um she's Drew Barrymore. Drew Barrymore. So cuz I'm like she doesn't write, she doesn't direct. She's been in Hollywood her whole life, right? She's a famous alcoholic and drug addict who went to rehab when she was 12, right? Um, it's just kind of like, what? What? She reminds me of the Osmonds, but at least they sing, right? They sing, they do something. She's she's like Paris Hilton. She's Hollywood royalty, right? The Barrymores, John Barrymore, Ethel Barrymore, right? They were very super famous in like they made all the great movies. The Barrymore family. There were like three brothers and a sister. Um, and she's I guess the heir to that legacy, right? And she got on early because Barrymore and one of I guess Steven Spielberg made her famous with E.T. And then she was at Studio 54 when she was 8. Like just look her up online, and you wonder how is no one going to fucking prison for this? She was a cocaine addict by the time she was 12. She was in rehab. I'm like that town. It, but you have to look at after, and I've said this on someone's podcast before. How you doing? Possible, probable, probably. I said this on someone's podcast before. They have to take care of Drew Barrymore because Drew Barrymore knows. I mean, she's one of those a woman scorned kind of people. Britney Spears is right now that she's out of conservatorship. Britney Spears is setting everybody's house on fire, right? And I'm like, maybe that conservative shit was a good idea for you because you apparently don't have any chill. Um, and it's that, right? It's this idea of if you shut her down, she knows who did what for the last 40 years in Hollywood, right? You'd either have to pay her off or kill her. And the way you pay her off is give her bullshit TV. Like, well, didn't she have a talk show that nobody watched? I was like, first of all, who the fuck said, wow, Drew Barrymore is a font of information. That bitch needs a talk show. Excuse my language. Nobody. So why did she get a talk show? Right? Tons of movies. She's in tons of stuff, like a headliner, but nobody goes, ooh, I gotta see that movie because Drew Barrymore's in it. I will go see a movie. I love movies. I've studied film. I've written a couple of screenplays. Right. Not really a fan of celebrity. I've worked for HBO. I've done some of their stuff. Worked with Dave Chappelle. But I'm not like a star. Maybe it's the Brooklyn guy in me. I'm not a starstruck guy. But there have been people I've met where I was like, wow, I got like when I worked a presidential detail. I was proud that I got to work it, and I was proud to look around. Right, when I got to do those movies, I was like, "Oh wow, so so that's great." But I was more about how they did it. Right, that was a dream. Maybe I can make my own one day, like Kevin Smith. How did they doing this stuff? Um, Other people just love famous people, and I think that's where she is. Right, she gets top billing, but she's just famous for famous sake. She's not a good enough actress where people go, this year's Academy Award for the seventh time goes to, right? She's just a denizen of Hollywood. So if Hollywood has a pedo rapey problem, drug problem, why don't you go ask her, right? Especially as an ex drug person who gave 12-year-olds drugs. And it's not just that; it's Brooke Shields too. Brooke Shields was in two very sketchy things when she was a young woman, which made her famous. Right? One was those Calvin Klein ads where people were like, "That is too sexual," and one was um Blue Lagoon, all this nude shit, sexual shit when she was a really young girl. Right? And I was like, even back then, I was like, that's gonna come back to haunt that family. And she's a giant millionaire rich lady. Her mother, as I mean, I could be wrong here, but her mother died in hospice. Now, you have a giant mansion, you've got rooms you never see. How would you not have your mother live with you in her last days? I think likely, just my opinion, that people feel pimped out, right? Your kids won't always be 3, 4, and 5. One day they will be grown ass adults and they'll go, yeah, I'm not fucking with you anymore. And then all of a sudden you're 60 with nobody wondering why your kid don't call you. What kind of parent were you in your 20s and 30s and 40s when they thought the world of you and you're supposed to be teaching them shit? I run through a lot of people like that. Once people left for college, they never went back. Once people left for the military, they never went home again. But they'll call me because we grew up together. It's weird. Let's check the chat. People remember you can't treat people poorly like they have to forgive you. A lot of these parents, shame on them. Um, Oh, she's okay. Yeah, well, we like Drew Barrymore. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying, put things in perspective. We're not. I guess I was shitting on Drew Barrymore. Shame on me. I apologize. I didn't want it to come across but at the same time, it's the idea of America is always telling you something that you know to be like, all right, we have to use a catchphrase, man. Nice six a motherfucker to shut the fuck up. True armor. Nightstick a motherfucker to shut the fuck up. True armor. Or you used to. I never nightsticked anybody. What is this? because we wouldn't nice mofos to shut the fuck up. What is going on here in the chat? What did I miss here? I mean, we got to start your broadcast with. Hold on, I'm trying to remind you that when someone's being a Karen, nice mofo to shut the fuck up. Yeah, and yeah, exactly. And yeah, she was estranged from her mom, and you wonder why, right? Um, Look, you bring your kid to Hollywood, I guess they have to. What's the word I'm looking for? I guess they have to adapt or you drop them, right? I mean, some of these families have multiple child star kids who get famous, like the Culkins, right? And there's Macaulay and there's his brother Kieran. There's a couple of sisters who are mildly famous, like the guy who paid those guys to beat him up. Apparently, I forgot about this, but he had a show. He's got like five brothers and sisters. All of them are actors and singers, right? What's his name? Moffat. It wasn't Moffat. Whatever the guy's name who hired those two guys to beat him up, and they just found him guilty. Joel Smollett, right? There's a bunch of those Smollett kids. One's working now on a very popular television show, but they've been around since forever, right? Um, Brittany and her sister famously got pregnant and had to leave Hollywood at like I want to say 12 or 13, right? There were rumors that it was an adult producers, and I was like, you know why I buy that? Because she up and left fairly quickly without. Normally, that time people would be like, I'm a modern woman and a grown ass, and it happens, and da da da, and we're gonna stay here and milk this millions. They were like, we got one daughter making millions. We better hide this one. No one asked questions, right? And why would you? Everybody's got a trillion lawyers. Everyone is lawyered up. So when you come to ask questions, you have to come with lawyers to ask questions. I probably did say it one time. I'd say a lot of goofy stuff. Possible, probably. Um, shut the fuck up, all nightstick. Yeah, I don't know. That's yeah. Uh, I probably did say it, but that's nice like a motherfucker to shut the fuck up. Yeah, that's something I definitely would not like. But yeah, yeah. I'm thinking about it because like I'm not violent, never did that, but that's a phrase that I'm like it's flippant. It doesn't sound like me, but it's flippant and arrogant. I would say something like that. So in that way, it sounds like me. Who is blowing up my zone? Oh, excuse me, y'all, but my auto parts guy's calling me to let me know that there's a sale on wiper fluid. I am connected, son. There must be just me and a couple of other 100 million people on that list. uh, I got the hookup. Me and about 10 million other people. This is how you do it. You go through normal business hours and you go up to the counter. You give them money and they give you the thing you asked for. The hookup, son. Ugh. um. Oh, I didn't set the timer. All right. Let's do that. What time is it? It's 7:30. All right, it's not so bad. It's only been running. We'll give that an hour, not an hour. It's 7:30. We'll give it a half an hour. We weren't even supposed to be doing the whole show today. Um, it is a day, boy. I gotta tell you. And the second police officer died who was in this shooting. So the first one who died was 22, and the second one who died, I think, last night was 27. And then of course Patrick Lynch stood up there in grandstand like he could tell you every time something happens. I'm really beginning to think that nobody's happy about it than fucking Patrick Lynch. So he can stand out there and just be a pompous ass. Ugh. Meanwhile, when the cops are absolutely outrageously ridiculous, he says nothing. Yeah, I tell you where I say I'm one of those who believe that the civil rights movement is over. I hate to say it. I think we lost. We as in black folk lost. I think the only people who are talking about civil rights now are trying to get you to buy something or or come out and vote for someone. But there was a whole bunch of civil rights tactics that no one even talks about anymore. Boycott, remember that? Don't boycott any. Just come and vote for me. Come and vote for Joe fucking Biden, who's never done anything and stood against everything you wanted to have done since 70, since 1970. Now it's different. This tired. This is why I'm doing. Ugh. Is this thing even tuned? This is why I'm doing guitar. I don't even think it is tuned. Hold it. Where is it? Here it is. It's my tuner. All right. We're not gonna play anything. We're just gonna sit here. Give me a chance to be quiet for a couple of seconds, and I'm just gonna tune this. All right. In tune. It's in tune. You know how I know I'm getting good at guitar? I've gotten to the point now where I can hear the quality of guitars. Right? So I know why this is a good guitar. It's a Fender, right? World famous guitar maker, but it's also an economic model of an acoustic guitar, and then you can hear it almost. But what do I need some high end ridiculousness for? I'm still learning. Slow old man fingers, but it's fun. Weak pinky finger. Look at that. Can I do it with another finger? Anyway, so what were we doing? It's not. It's not. What did I say? Oh, possible, not possibly. They shot the shooter. Let me check the shooter died the day of the shooting. Yeah. Look, man. I'm sorry to look, man. Look, ladies and gentlemen, it's a dangerous business. Police work is a dangerous business. You are going to lose men and women doing it, right? Sad to say, if you are lucky, you won't have anybody who passes away in a year if you're lucky. But all cops aren't just shot, right? Most cops die in traffic accidents, right? People run lights, people run you over while you're trying to direct traffic. You're standing outside your car on the side road trying to aid somebody, and somebody runs. There's a ton of videos people running into police cars, right? One cop saving this woman, and another different guy saving his partner, right? That's generally how cops die. And those are the near misses. I mean, there's a ton of faces of death videos where you can see cops getting hit by everything from fucking motorcycles to trains. Um, so the first thing that kills cops is accidents. Secondly, the thing that kills cops, traffic accidents, right? Car accidents. The second thing that kills cops bigly, hugely, is domestic violence and uh, standard car stops. Whoop whoop! I'm pulling you over. You got a tail light out. Blam blam blam. You right? Because you're pulling him over because you got a tail light out. He thinks you're pulling him over for the 3 murders he just committed and the bank robbery. And you just got on duty 40 minutes ago. You don't know anybody's looking for this guy, right? But they've been looking for 3 weeks. You just have to bump into him. This is my thing, man. You had better watch your tactical ass. It matters. It really fucking does matter. Hey Tony, what's good? Good to see you in the chat. I hope everyone is balling completely out on this Wednesday, January. Um, so yeah, it's It's a day. It's a day. Came home, stressed AF, hopped in the shower, shaved my melon. I feel good. A shorn melon is a thing to be proud of. Um, I feel recharged. The last 2 days I didn't do a stream. I like to stream every day. So if you don't see me for a day or 2 or 3, something else is going on. And something else is going on. I hate to say it. So we'll see what happens. We're gonna up our stream game and our content game bigly. That's my new word for this year. I've been using it a lot. Uh, I think it's a Simpsons word, embiggens, bigly. I've been using all these made up mock verbs for it. It's a noun and a verb. Anyway, so let's run through the news because I got to tell you, man, those two cops, man. I got to tell you, I really think that if police work was how can I phrase this? If how can I phrase this? If if police work was actually respectful to the communities that it serves in these walk-through neighborhoods, mind you, not everybody. Some places are so high traffic that there's no way you're ever going to know the beat cop or whatever. But if the cop patrols your neighborhood and you see him a lot, when all hell breaks loose, he normally has a relationship just generally to the people in that neighborhood. Or if not that person there, someone who knows that person. Right? Oh, Bob, the guy who owns the laundromat. Oh, I know him. He's so and so's son. She works at the X. I'll call her. Right? This kind of stuff. Versus everybody just showing up to lay hands on people. Right? I mean, ugh. And I think there's a lot of people who grow up with animosity and hatred to the cops just because it's not the movies. They've seen it. People keep acting like you make mean shit up about the police, and no, the cops earned their sadly fucked up reputation. Um, we've told you about it for 100 years before people invented cameras, and then you got to see Rodney King almost get beat to death, right? And then regularly you get to see someone shot or murdered off. Since then, all right. So let's actually, you know what? I was gonna look up that the Joe Biden, the Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Stephen Breyer told me that Kamala Harris for the Supreme Court. Just here's a tier, government tier in America. You want to be a congressman, but if you can, you want to be a senator because congressmen essentially are always raising money and they go to elections every 2 years. Senators don't always raise money and they go once every 7 years, really once every six. Uh, After that, and there are no term limits on congressmen and senators. After that, you want to be a Supreme Court justice where you can sit on your fat ass and be wrong and smug about it. The only job guy who has a better bullshit, you should be fired job than the Supreme Court is Anthony Fauci, who's been the head of the disease thing for 30 years. It's just ridiculous. No one should. I mean, it's one thing to work in an organization or an agency for 30 years, right? It's another thing to start at the top there 30 years ago and still be he didn't. What is he? A founding father? This is the problem, right? Fiefdoms, man. He needs to be gone. He's not so important to the American apparatus that he can go, and that's the thing. You're not supposed to be that important. He's glad handy and he's connected. Yeah. So now what? They'll get a new head of the disease and whatever when he dies. and all these guys are like a million years old. How old is Anthony Fauci?
Anthony Fauci is 81 years old.
81. At least he's older than fucking Biden. Biden. Uh, how old is Joe Biden?
Joe Biden is 79 years old.
So one's 81, one's 79. How old is Nancy Pelosi?
Nancy Pelosi is 81 years old.
I'm gonna trigger some shit in like some basement of some federal building asking this shit, aren't I? Who else do I have? How old is Chuck Schumer?
Chuck Schumer is 71 years old.
He's a baby. He's 71. He's a baby. So your president is 80. Your Speaker of the House is 81. Uh, Good old Chuck is gonna run again, and he's 71. How old is Mitch McConnell?
Mitch McConnell is 79 years old.
He's 79. Right? The guy who wants to be Kevin McCarthy, that stubby piece of crap, he's about, I'd say he's about 62. How old is Kevin McCarthy? How old is Kevin McCarthy?
Kevin McCarthy is 57 years old.
All right, I gave him 5 years younger than I thought he was. These are the people telling you about abortion, and I mean, their kids are out of college, and they're telling you what you need to do about your kids. They make it impossible to live in America. They, yeah, and they're arrogant about it, right? They openly, they openly insider trade, and they expect you not to ask questions. So all these 80-year-olds are all controlled by like 30 and 40-year-olds who are all, well, maybe 40 and 50-year-olds who are all in the pocket of corporations. Big media, corporate rap, as I like to call it, corporate coondom. You know, no, my voice. This is why I like the internet. My voice does not get heard without the internet, and they don't want my voice to be heard because there's a million of me sitting here, in a myriad of basements, attics, kitchen tables, bedrooms, all saying with a million different faces, saying it in a million different ways, all saying that something is fucking wrong here. And they're telling one group, everybody's a racist, so you got to vote for us. And they're telling the other group something completely different, and you got to vote for us. And now what do they call it? An ignition point, a flash point. I'm not even going to argue about it anymore because it goes back. You know what it's like? It's like arguing who's the best superhero, right? Yeah, you could do it, but it goes on forever and no one can actually prove anything. It's so ridiculous, right? It's like arguing what's pretty. Pretty is subjective. The argument takes away time and energy from actually solving the problem. And the argument is there's a distraction. Well, I think that voting reform bill has something in it about those donations. And that's another thing about our bills. Maybe you should just write the bill. It should be no longer than 5 pages, and the average person of the average education should be able to read it. If you want to make it super complicated, improve America's education system. I mean, they're openly, arrogantly selling you down the river and telling you, "How dare you judge us for it?" That's the thing that's getting me. It's like your con is not so clever and not so unique as to not be um known or exposed in the doing of, right? Not like, oh, I found out about it later. I'm talking about in the committing of, we know what you're up to. test that. Let's. Whoops, sorry about that. Let's just slide that over a skosh. So you know, this is gonna hurt me more than it hurts you. Kind of like nonsense that people talk while they're doing evil stuff. You just kind of like, man. So this is why, like me and Biz go through it all the time. I can't wait for the midterms because I've been saying this forever, and people have been telling me I'm crazy, and so much so that I'm like, I'm gonna say this every day on on YouTube. So when I'm dead and gone, somebody who archives shit can be like, there was this random dude no one knew about who said this interesting thing on this political topic at this one time in history. And here it is, right? It's on tape. Versus, I told everyone I know who was voting Joe Biden was a bad pick. So now you can't be surprised that Joe Biden is falling apart, you know. In this what are you even gonna call this? In this arena of politics and people to who my ashy arm politics and people you need to knock the ball out the park and do the right thing. I think he's just too old to do it, and people don't care about that because the people around him want the. It's like Trump. All those people who could not wait to work for Trump are now sitting here telling you what a horrible person. But he put you on first of all, and he's been around for 30 years. You're now realizing he's a horrible person. It's like everybody is just so glad handy. And I think if they showed up tomorrow with like we're reinstituting slavery, I said this before in bars. We're gonna reinstitute slavery, and don't worry, it won't be race based. It's gonna be economic based, and if you're poor, uh, or or a criminal, you're the people. And if you're rich, no matter what, I think there a lot of people will be like, what's the minimum? How do I get a? No, I'm just asking. I just want to know what the. And bam, that's why I asked a couple of days ago. I was like, "What do you really believe?" You don't have to say it in the chat. But what kind of person are you really? What do you really believe? Because it's going to be tested one of these days, right? We're going to take the vote away from women because we think that just didn't work out. What are you as a guy going to say about that? I mean, we in America watch people get railroaded all the time or just get fucked over. One of my favorites is the idea that you can't drink until you're 21, but you can die in the military at 18. I'm like, at least in the military, give that a waiver, right? And then on the top of that is, wait, you don't trust that the military guys are gonna take care of new privates and sergeants? I thought they're all about fraternity and fidelity and loyalty, right? The older dudes would take care of the well, you would hope that. I mean, the men would take care of the women, and the older dudes would take care of the younger dudes. You would hope that, but I mean, I think we've seen going back as far as Tailhook, right? What Tailhook was an Air Force Navy sexual harassment scandal where they fired a lot of people. Um, Look, if you get men and women in a room together, it's more than three, and somebody has power over somebody, you're gonna get issues. Because power is corrupting and sex is normal and natural, right? Sex is normal and natural. Maybe that's not the phrase I want to, right? You're gonna get sex is a thing that people barter over since the cave days, right? And some people want it uh and and will harass will make it known to other people that they do in all manner of environments, right? That's a better way to phrase that, including work. Which there are no absolutes, there are no 100%. So somebody's not gonna like it, and then of those some people, some people will make an issue of it, right? Some people will be happy, but leave me alone. I'm married, got a boyfriend, got a hamster, got a whatever. And some dudes will take that. Oh, my bad. I'm sorry. I asked once, and I won't ask again, and keep it moving. Um, it is what it is. It is what it is. It's just love of the modern era, right? It's a paranoid thing now, so much so that no one's getting married, right? Um, China has this problem. Uh, their birth rate is falling because one, let's face it, um, nobody really wants to be Chinese. Uh, Japan's birth rate is falling as well. Uh, but let's face it, both of those places are running out of space for the people that they have. India is also running out of space for the people that it has. Here in America, we've got room to grow. And not just that, we're not having kids anymore. So we may have to come up with a plan to freaking make sure somebody can at least defend the borders for somebody to walk over and take over. But I think a lot of the energy, the natural energy of men and women, uh, in in a in a civilized society, right? Meaning people get married, people go to the church, get married, and have a wedding and flowers and invite people over. Civilized shit, right? Versus the natural connection to people, which happened before marriage, right? Let's say the caveman days, where you'll just go, well, me and what's a cave lady's name? Me and Wilma, the Flintstones. Me and Wilma uh, have decided that we are just gonna walk through this life together. That's it, right? So we're gonna go hunt the mammoth and the saber tooth and blah blah blah. We're gonna live in that cave, and we've decided that that's essentially being married. Um, Now I think everybody is shifty and nobody wants to admit it, but I don't think anybody trusts the other person because divorce and all these things are so ubiquitous in the community in America. Um, Even as America's always pushing love on you, right? And I think that's part of it. I'm going to push love on you, even as I know that love does not work. So when love goes south on you, I can sell you divorce attorneys. So one in the beginning, I get you. I'm selling you dresses and wedding venues and right legal documents and da da da. Da. And then on the other end, I'm selling you divorce attorneys and yeah. I just think people have been set upon so much over so much that hope is dying in this place. And you can see it in several places, several prominent places immediately. One of which is marriage and family. One of which is jobs. Like people are acting like there's a pandemic, and if you give these people money, they'll just be lounging around forever on the $1,500 you gave. Lounging around the $1,500. Does that make any sense? You know? How long is $1,500 gonna last you? Mind you, the people saying this are anchors and TV people and economists who make like $3 million a year, telling you got to get back to the mine. You got to get back and hurry up and work because I need my grass cut. I need somebody to Uber me someplace. I need somebody to fix my lunch. I said this before. Why would I bust my ass to get America back to the way it was before? Why? Because you're enjoying it. I think a lot of people are in a fuck you mode. And I always thought like, man, we are going to be shooting at each other in 10 years. I think that's less now with this pandemic. I think that's less. Ouch. Hit my foot on the not the, my foot, my knee on the table. Woo, remember the good old days when you were a kid and you would fall down and get hurt and you go to ma and ma would give you a band-aid and kiss it and make it all better. Remember those days? How nice and simple things were? What trust and loyalty looked like when life was simple? What is trust and loyalty now? If you got hurt and skinned your knee, who would you go to? 1,000 government agencies that don't do shit, right? Sit in line, fill out this paper, go to that window, wait right here. come back in 6 weeks, bring us to they wouldn't do shit. So, what would you do for them? Which is essentially what's going on here. You keep asking for stuff, you're not getting anything, and now they're sitting here telling you to come and vote for us. Come, have faith one more time. Let's go to war in Crimea, not Crimea, in the Ukraine, because he took Crimea in 2016 and we didn't do shit about it. Look, we should not die in the Ukraine. Let them have it. I get Crimea. Crimea was a giant militarily significant, right? Deep sea port. Very few of those. You can have submarines there. Can't have them in Moscow. That's another unique thing about our coastline. We're in the fucking Pacific Shelf and the fucking Atlantic Shelf. It's weird, man. It really is fucking weird. It's like I look, man. I think that we're trapped here. It's like being. It's like yeah, you're safe from them, but you're also trapped here with us, essentially. Uh, I don't know, man. I don't know. Uh, are we going to war in Crimea? Not Crimea. I'll say it again. In Ukraine. He's talking about we're sending 8,000 troops there. I'm just kind of like, we just went through this shit, and you left all the fucking hardware over there. You could have took that hardware and gave it. We are fallen, and no one has any faith in this system or the people running it. So here's a couple of things. Once the government goes, oh, this is going bad. All right, we need everybody who's got guns to turn them in. There's gonna be a civil war. Once the government goes, oh, all right, you can't talk about this, and this, and this anymore, which they're doing more and more of. Uh, or these speech outlets, it's gonna be a civil war. Like America is a fucking powder keg for shit to go bad, and that can be viewed as treacherous. All right, cut off the communications, put on 1950s TV on everything. Your internet goes down. Everybody's paranoid about what's going on. Everybody, and rightfully so. America has a really shit history. Why would you trust it? After seeing what they did to American Indian black people, why would you trust them if you were not either one of these groups? And if you were the American Indian or black people, why would you trust after you've had a few centuries, both groups, of nonsense bullshit, right? So these are the look, man. A lot of this can be solved by looking at your adversary, quote unquote, and knowing what they want, trying to figure out what they want down the line in 5 or 10 years, right? But what they want now and what they told you they want, right? They're not gonna get everything they want. But when they go, I want this, I want that, I want this, and then the rationales they tell you they want for you go, yeah, he's saying he wants this because he wants a united Ukraine or whatever. But he really wants this from our perspective because this is a deep port and it's on the other side, and he'll save himself 3,000 miles, and he can launch an attack Europe closer. That's why he wants Crimea. Doesn't want to keep Russia whole and sovereign. I would like to remind you there was the whole and sovereign Russia. Well, I mean, the place was all over the place. Germany used to be Prussia. They were constantly at war, right? And the Russians are partly Chinese. The Russo kind of like that whole war area region, right? If you look at if you look at do I want to say native? Indigenous is what I'm going to go for. If you look at indigenous Russians, they look like white Asian people, like blonde hair, blue eyes, but like they have kind of like tight. Let's call it tight, or uh, what's the word I'm looking for? Now I'm trying to phrase without getting in trouble. But they're not, their eyes aren't as round as the Europeans are. Um, you know, it's weird how we all look. Life is interesting. But you can see in the people the shared, you know, a little of that going on. But you know, this is a penis. See that? And this is the little. See that? No, it's fine. But you'll see that uh in the people, right? I'll give you an example. I can't grow a full beard, but my dad can grow a Santa Claus beard, like a kaboosh, right? Um, but black people aren't hairy, right? So, through the course of 500 years of ridiculousness here in this country, we black people here connect. This is how you know who's connected to who. Are lighter. We're a weird, different shade of brown than African. African from the continent are darker. Um, Similar to Caribbean and Haitians, but they're darker as well. Why do you think that is? Also, like I said, we have hair. Africans on the continent generally aren't hairy. They don't have beards. But they're still like I have my arms are ashy, but I don't have any hair in my arms. I don't have any hair on my legs. I have very minimal hair in my chest. All right. But generally, we're fucking not hairy people. We're fucking sub-Saharan Africa people. You don't need to be hairy. There aren't winds or the and all this European weather that you need. Like so, but you look around you after 500 years of what's been going on, and it is what it is. Same thing with American Indians. They're hairless. They don't have a lot, but every now and then you'll see because family drama. All right, it is 8 o'clock. I feel good. Came home, like I said, shaved my melon, and a shorn melon is a beautiful thing. I got a tuned guitar. I got a game to play. I got some bills to pay. Uh, and I gotta figure my stream life out. Uh, so push up schedule, piano schedule, really music schedule. Heavy on piano so I can sort of catch up. I decided, and streaming, and all of this is gonna kick off again from your mouth to God's ears relatively soon. And by relatively soon, I mean like within the next few days before like the 1st of February. Excuse me. 1st of February is next week, Tuesday. Well, I'm 26 days behind schedule, so I guess it doesn't matter. Excuse me. Whew. I gotta tell you, since I stopped drinking, I expected to start losing weight, like falling off me. Not so much. Round rims of the neck is not awesome. One of the nicest memories I have in this life of mine, when I was a kid, we went camping. I think I said this before. And we were at the Delaware Water Gap, and we had camped all day through the sun, and I was a whiny New York City kid and all this stuff. And then we got to take a second and stop in this really beautiful place. Like it was like the valley, right? So you had trees on both sides. You had the water coming like down the it was a river, but out of the mountains, right? And then in front of us, you had like the water running uh, off into the horizon. It was so beautiful. And I remember how cold and refreshing the water tasted drinking out of a stream. I could not believe it. I could not fucking believe it. It was like I tasted it, and every nature program I had seen in my life, like just flashed in front of my eyes. Like Marty Stafford's Wild America, like PBS Nature, like all of it just kind of like a thousand images of like people drinking water in Yosemite, like ice melting, and you know what I mean? Just and it was so visceral. It was so visceral. Ooh-wee. Another weird thing, right? You drink ice water, you come over here with your tea, not tea, coffee. Coffee. All right. I guess this is where we end it. What happens Wednesday? There are no games today. There is no, I mean, if there are no games, we could look up stuff, but there isn't really any good news. I mean, Breyer's gonna leave, okay. Oh, we're just gonna stick a black woman on because that's yeah, you know what? I'm just tired. I mean, civil rights movement is dead, and now you're just playing plantation poker with these people. If you were serious, the cops would be able to murder somebody. You wouldn't have had that trial last year of George Floyd. You wouldn't have had it. And for that, that's the one that you prosecuted. For that case, there's 100,000 you didn't see. With all manner of disrespect and degradation to the law. Everything from insults, right, to violence, to murder. We'll look into our own crimes. America has a sea of cooked books on murders. But it keeps telling you, look, like, how long is America going to be able to beat this 1942 "We Saved Europe" thing? Because it happened like 90 years ago, 80 years ago. I saw something today about who's that girl that was in that somebody gave up who was in Anne Frank, right? At this point, I hate to be rude about it, but I don't care. I don't care about Anne Frank. She died over not over 100 years ago. She died about 80 years ago. Granted, she shouldn't have died. She was a kid. Um, but I can't care. I mean, people are being murdered here. We're being denied the right to vote here. Why am I going to stop and because history and no, no. At this point, it's just a distraction to get me to talk about World War II and Hitler. Enough has been said about it. Enough movies have been made about it. Everybody knows about it. No one's pro Hitler or any of this shit anymore. But at the same time, I'm just fucking tired of the fucking 1942 narrative. I'm a gamer, and I hate at this point. I hate playing 1942 World War II shooters. I mean, the place needs new ideas, and the fixes need to come fast and frequently. And I don't think we do any of that. We as a nation, right? Or the people who lead us as a nation. But like I said before, I'll say it again. We don't need Nancy Pelosi or Chuck Schumer or Mitch McConnell or I'm about to say Chuck Todd or Joe Biden. We don't need any of them, right? But we need people to do what we need them to do in those spaces. They're acting like without us, there is no America. And my position is get out of here. Who else do we have in this country? Who isn't part of your fucking club of greedy sycophants? Feckless sycophants. The only thing you can do is railroad a case against somebody, it seems. But you can't give anybody health care. You can't cut back the tuitions. I mean, can't exit a war zone properly. It's the whole thing is ridiculous. The man suspected of killing a Houston area deputy was arrested in Mexico. Of course he was. Yeesh. Yeah, man, this whole thing is supposed to be giving me give me news. Uh, uh, for every news story this thing gives me, it gives me like four sports stories. Peter Robbins, voice of Charlie Brown, dead at 65 from suicide. I'm getting nods for stuff that I didn't want here. Vice, this new ultra flexible bright can fill all the holes in your life. Really, why you send me information about sex toys in my news feed? And this is Apple News, mind you. It's not some rinky dink. It's Apple News. Don't make any sense why it's there. Uh, what Stephen Breyer retirement means, right? Now people are asking questions about Clarence Thomas's wife. She's been a problem for 10 years. Dr. Oz is running for Senate. Why? Because he ran to be a doctor for you. Is that why he became a doctor? He became a doctor to make himself rich, and now he's running for Senate to make himself influential. Prince Charles writes moving forward to a Holocaust portrait exhibition, a permanent reminder, quote unquote. Holocaust portraits? Again, it was 80 years ago. This is all so you don't really have to deal with the problems you have now. Uh, all these fucking all the Democrats, all the black Democrats, the Democratic Party is pulling out that ass. I have no respect for. I really don't. I don't know who half of these people are. I say before, I say it again. I think they hacked it. Florida surgeon generally favorably recommended after Democrat walk out on confirmation. Yeah, it ceases to be about the people. It's about their fiefdoms, and but they can't stay there without us. Yeah, It took Eric Trump 6 years to discover a cryptocurrency named after him. I just don't see. This not man. Maybe I need a new news feed. I think I might need a new news feed. There's a lot of sports here. I mean, I like sports. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not a sports junkie. I never talk sports on this show. I mean, I ask questions about who's doing what and when and where and when's the game because I want to watch it. But I never sit here and go, "This guy's the better quarterback than that guy. And this guy's the better baseball player than that guy. And this guy should have been drafted. And this guy should have been traded." I just don't do it. I think it bleeds into my. I could give a fuck about your celebrity kind of. Good lord, am I shouting into the microphone? I could give a gosh darn about celebrity. Um, election police force is an absolute terrible idea. Well, yeah, Trump is going to be your nominee. McConnell has a leg up on Trump. How? Trump is going to be the nominee. If you could stop him from running, you would, but you don't. But you can't. And he's constant. Good lord, am I the only one? If I'm wrong, maybe somebody should show up and tell me how I'm wrong. But how's he not the likely and obvious nominee? How's he not? Perfect. How's he not? I don't even know. We were supposed to be ending this thing. But you know what? I'm just looking for news, and I'm seeing YouTube permanently bans Fox News host Dan Bongino. Now this all these people are banning shit. It's America. We're not supposed to ban shit. We deal in commerce and conversation. And now the only thing we seem to deal in is commerce. YouTube will ban your conversation. Twitch will ban your conversation. Twitter will ban your conversation. Maybe not Twitch, but Twitter will, and YouTube will, and Facebook will. Okay. New Virginia hotline lets parents report divisive teaching practices. I need you to rat out your neighbor. The fucking Republicans look more and more like s- some European cult all the time. They're always going against American values. They really are. Yeah, I don't know, man. Wow. Yeah. What is this? Game time. The Fed unveiled a tougher plan to fight stubborn high inflation. Yeah, I gotta tell you, my news feed seems devoid of actual news. It's a lot of movie stuff and sports stuff, and this celebrity date and that's and it's just kind of like, shouldn't you really be telling me about the Ukraine war? Aziz Ansari has a Netflix special, and I kind of don't care. Addison Ray, I don't know what an Addison Ray is. Yeah, I guess that's it. I got to get a new news. Ugh, all right. We're talking about Macaulay Culkin. Ugh. Neighbor told to hunker down after an armed and dangerous suspect shot a Milwaukee County deputy during a traffic stop and bolted. Yeah, why would you stay there? Of course, they're going to bolt. Yeah, so traffic stops. Told you they were dangerous. We were just talking about it, and all of a sudden. But here's the thing: every day, I think the average is one cop dies every day in America. Right now, before you lose your shit, there's only 365, and that's not there. I mean, sometimes it's like it's about every day, maybe every 30 hours, every right, but sometimes not. Sometimes multiples, right? Like we just had. Um, so sometimes multiples, like we just had. Uh, it's dangerous. Cars, I mean, not car stops and like this was a car stop and domestic incidents. Super dangerous. Cops who watched George Floyd die never said he wasn't breathing. Whoa. Bollywood star is cleared in court for a kiss Richard Gere gave her 15 years ago. The case just ended. Some foreign dude kisses you and then leaves the country, and you have to fight a 15-year court case for it. I wonder if he's gonna take care of that legal bill. Look, there's another thing. Why do we let some of these people in this country? They don't even have running water in their country. People are. I mean, you should look at this like I'm a spaceman. Why is there a caveman on my spaceship? Right? Or you're the caveman. Why are you caveman on someone else's spaceship? Right? But it's not like we're compatible because you say we're compatible. You should come. Should you really come from a place? No, I don't know. I'm already giving myself blowback on what I just said. Uh, you don't want to just keep taking first world people, quote unquote, first world people, right? But at the same time, the people you take from maybe not first world places should have colleges, and women should be able to drive, right, and leave the house by themselves, right? Some people are coming here where, and that's a problem because it also plays its hand into the racial bullshit of the history of the place. Neil Young. David Bowie, The Man Who Felt the Earth, is becoming a new graphic novel. Oh boy. All right. Oh, that's sad. Well, okay. Well, I guess that what is this opinion? 90% of everything is take a guess. What does that mean? 90% of everything is take a guess. Uh yeah, all right. Well, I don't see any news to talk to you about. Teen brothers allegedly beat stepfather to death for abusing their sister. Here's the problem with that. People hate family members. This is just a good way for you not to go to jail by saying, "Oh, that's what he was doing." But is there any evidence that that's what he was doing? Or is there more evidence that you just didn't like him and you were 19, 17, and 16 and he's dating your mom? You know what I mean? That kind of thing. 3-year-old, there is there is really, oh, Discord was down for 2 hours. There really is not a lot of news, and I'm apparently gonna have to fucking get rid of my sports update because now my news feed is about 50% sports now. Yeah, amazing. All right. They're gonna put some black women on Supreme Court, and it won't do any good. So, all right, knock yourselves out. Civil rights movement is over until it isn't, and it looks like it's over. Uh, whew, I am not gonna finish this coffee. I had a lot of coffee today. Uh, my eyes are beet red. I am still tired. What time is it? I feel like it's okay, 8:20. All right. Yeah, we're gonna end this. A good shower, a chewing melon. We're gonna play some well, probably not even gonna play some video games. Probably gonna go to sleep. I hate to say I'm not as young as I used to be. I was gonna do this thing yesterday, and I knew I was tired at about 6:30. And I was right. Because before I could even do a show yesterday, right about like 6:45, I was in bed where I stayed till about 1:30. Got up for 3 hours, diddled around, uh watched a little game or video playing, watched like little video 15-minute videos of people banner loading video game, building siege towers and stuff. I'm like, all right, then I went back to bed and then got my day started. But whew, whatever happens, I used to be able to skip at 5 and stay up to like 1 and get 5 hours of sleep. Those days are over. Uh, if I get up at 7, I feel tired by 7 at night. That's not normal because people get up at 7 all the time and stay up to like 10. So somewhere along the way, maybe it's my somewhere along the way, I'm missing 3 hours that I need to get back. Uh, Till I do that, we're just gonna stream at 4, I guess, 4 to 7, 4 to 8, get 4 hours. Not a night, but try and do 4 hour streams. And we'll see where it goes. Likely starting at 4, coming in the next week, or maybe not the next week, but coming in like I should make it the first, right? We want to stream on the first, but it's not going to be 4 hours. We're not doing 4 hour streams on the first. We might do 90 minutes, 2 hours. We'll see where it goes. And I really have to start running, man. It's the whole thing, man. Your life is short, so you have to figure out what you're gonna do. Um, what are you gonna do? I mean, I'm a sucky musician. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm a sucky painter, sucky artist, sucky drawer. Drawer? Drawing. Draftsman. How about that? Draftsman. Um, but man, I gotta tell you, it's better than the alternative. It really is better than the alternative. So remember, voting reform, you gotta vote. People want to reform the vote so thoroughly that so many Americans can't vote, and that's anti-American. And if you're not American, wherever you are, you got to get out and vote when it's your opportunity to. Um, Stick it to the man with your vote. uh, and I guess that's it. All right, oh wow, why don't we just cut? Well, we're gonna cut that off in a second. We are gonna end this one because, quite frankly, there is no news. I mean, we know Joe Biden and the whole thing, and that's just about it. So we will see you. I've been doing every other days, man. If I see you tomorrow, I'm definitely going to see you Friday. So I might not see you tomorrow, but I'll definitely see you Friday, or I might see you tomorrow, and I'll see you Friday. Uh, Saturday, we'll definitely likely be seeing you. And Sunday service is Sunday service. So we'll see you then. So if I miss the next 4 days, I'll likely only miss tomorrow because we like to hit Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Uh, and we're going to hit them. All right, ladies and gentlemen, men and women, boys and girls, spoons and forks, tall and short. Speaking of tall, I saw this guy. He he must have been 68, 70. He must have also been about 7'5". No, probably 7'2", but I would say 7'5". He was taller than the door frame. He had to duck down to get into the restaurant we were in. And he sat in a booth, and I was looking at his legs, and he sat in a booth. I wish I had something to put my feet on. And his feet were like just not this dramatically like canted upward, but they were canted up, were like about like a good bit. So that it's almost like you sitting in a like a baby chair at a he was just naturally tall, and he was. And there are tall people in the world, 6 foot, 6'2". Oh, how do you 6 foot? Yeah, he had to be about 7'2". Um, he was the oldest, tallest person I ever seen. There's a lot of weird things as you get older that don't do well. One is short. You don't see a lot of old midgets around. You don't. And one is tall. You don't see a lot of tall older people with canes or in hover rounds, right? It's weird. Uh Body gang, it gets hard to like deal. Um but I was impressed. I was for a minute I was gonna take his picture and I was like, stop being weird, man. Uh and I wasn't weird. I didn't take his picture. All right, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. Excuse me. Whew. Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, men and women, moms and pops, brothers and sisters, and children of all ages. We will see you in the next one, and the next one is likely tomorrow. But definitely Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We're always gonna do the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday pods. Um, we're gonna probably move them into funner hours. I don't know what those are. Look, the kids are good at streaming. I don't. I'm just streaming. I'm a streamer, but the kids have it all figured out. So one day I will figure it out. But for now, I'm just here with you, and I'll be here with you. I want to say tomorrow, definitely Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But I want to say tomorrow. Uh, Tomorrow at 7. Look for me around 6:30. They're getting earlier, but likely 7. I will see you then. Please take care of yourself. Weekend is right around the corner. Can you smell it? The fun and adventure on the weekend? Oh, it's got your name on it. I can see the tag. It's got your name on it. This weekend is going to be fire for you. Be ready for it. Be ready for it. Be ready for it. All right, that is it for us meaning me. That is it for me. I, your boy True, will see you in the next one. Da, 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 da. Put this here. And I'm going to game. I want to thank everybody for coming through. I should be a little taller. I should want to thank everybody for coming through. And again, catch me in the next one.